The biggest modern blue chip comic book has just dropped $15,000 this week. Let's talk about it. Some books have dropped, but even more have spiked up. We even have a record-breaking sale this week. In fact, Q2 numbers are officially in. Stay tuned to the end of the video where we review the hottest books in the last 3 months so you can stay up on this rapidly moving marketplace. Hit the like, slap the subscribe button, and at the list at number 10, Amazing Spider-Man 41, the first appearance of the Rhino.
Now, this is one of those books that's always going to be sought after. It's a Silver Age Spider-Man key, the first appearance of the Rhino, and this book was already on fire, and then we got rumors that we were going to get the Rhino in an upcoming Kraven film. We finally got the trailer, and we saw what everybody at CinemaCon saw in April. We have the actual Rhino, not a mechanized suit.
This is such an interesting take on the Rhino. He's like going full lizard here and transforming into the monster. It's caused an uptick of copies sold of 260% on a very pricey book. The 3.5 is selling for $375 for an increase of 25% when you compare it over the last 12 months. The 5.5 hit $525 for an increase of 4%, and the 7.5 sold for $1,000. This book was selling around the $900 mark all year long for an increase of 12%. Comic fam, make sure to check your email this week. We have officially drawn the winner of a ASM 41 graded at a 5.0, and we have sent out the email to contact you to get your address and send it to you. And if you want to join in on all of our giveaways we do on our shows, all you need to do is go to comictom101.com and join our email list. That's where we source entries from. You could have won this book and stayed up to date on all things Comic Tom.
Moving on to number 9 on the list, we've got a ton of Spider-Man keys. It seems like the Sonyverse is keeping this list alive. Amazing Spider-Man issue 19. It's the first appearance of Matt Gargan, who would later become the Scorpion in the next issue.
Matt Gargan was introduced courtesy of Michael Mando back in Spider-Man Homecoming, and we haven't seen anything since then. He never went full Scorpion, so this has been spec in the back of members' minds for a long time. Then, when you consider Rhino just being on the list and Scorpion being another classic ASM villain who has animal traits, it's likely that Sony could be utilizing these types of villains in the future if Kraven is successful. Take a look at this list. We have a 4.5 hitting $300 for an increase of 26%, a 6.5 selling for $400, that's an increase of 22%.
The 7.5 is up 30%, selling for $700, and the 8.0 right about average, selling for $655. Now, there's been an addition of 193 slabs added to the census since we talked about this back on December 19th, bringing that total to 2,569. Less than 60 copies in 9.6 and above, with 44 9.6s. The record high on that was 4888, which sold back in May of 2022. And we haven't seen a sale since November where it sold for just under that at 4,500.
There's only 12 copies graded at a 9.8, and the last sale, which occurred this year, was the record-setting sale where it sold for $15,600. Considering that a 9.6 is selling for around 3x less than that, I'm seeing prices that seem very fair according to that new benchmark that was reached in January.
Man, love to see that book in a 9.8. Speaking of 9.8s, number 8 on the list, we've got New Mutants 98, the first appearance of Deadpool, and we finally got some new rumors about the movie.
This is nuts. Ben Affleck apparently spotted on the set of a movie that was just pushed up 6 months because of so many productions being shut down and slowed down. You couple that with the Rob Liefeld signing that's coming very soon over at CGC. This book is blowing up, but it's quite affordable when you compare it over recent year sales.
We've already got rumors about other Fox mutants entering this film, and we know that they're going to deal with the multiverse, so I already believe that we're going to see Daredevil in this movie. We have a CGC 8.5 selling for $400, 27% above its 12-month average. The 9.0 is up 11%, and 3 copies outsold that average this week. The 9.4 is up 6%, and again, 3 copies outsold that average, and the 9.8 sold for $1,775, 16% above that average, with 4 copies in total that achieved that.
Then we have the newsstand, 9.6 selling for $900. That's an increase of 14%. And the 9.8 newsstand hit $3,351 for a 10% increase when you compare it over the recent 12 months. Do yourself a solid. Support the show. Utilize code TOM101 on Key Collector Comics, but make sure you do the update. I've been spending so much time on this app over the last couple weeks because there have been an increase of 400,000 comic books added to their portfolio, to their catalog. I've been learning about comics comics, adding comics to my overall collection to get accurate pricing and value of all my funny books. The Golden Age sections are vast. You know, I'm typically using my Gerber journal, which is a photo journal of all the Golden Age comic books because they're really hard to find pictures of. And now all I have to do is open my phone and click a couple buttons. Utilize that code, and let's take a look at the list at number 7 because we have more Spider-Man to talk about.
And I just love how this Spider-Punk stuff is shining light on the original Prowler, number 7 on the list. Amazing Spider-Man 78, once again, the first appearance of the original Hobie Brown, the Prowler.
We have Spider-Punk, a clear standout of the film who's rumored to get his own spin-off series. We have an evil version of Miles Morales going by the name The Prowler, being set up as an antagonist for Beyond the Spider-Verse. And then, of course, we have Donald Glover, who was featured as the Prowler in the movie. This past week, Christopher Miller, co-writer and producer, tweeted a little bit about this process of getting Donald on the screen, saying that it was filmed 2 months prior to the release of the film. This was last minute. It wasn't certain that this was going to happen. And Donald didn't sign up to do anything beyond this film. It was actually something that was so spontaneous that Donald actually surprised his own kids by the appearance. They found out, just like we did in the audience, that their dad was in the movie.
This week we saw a CGC 5.5 sell for $199, 24% above its 12-month average, and 2 books did that. A 6.0 sold for $211, which is 15% up, and 2 copies, and a 6.0 outsold the 12-month average. Then we got the 6.5, that's up 21%, and the 9.0 selling for $800, 13% above that average.
I have high hopes for this next number on the list. Batman, 251, coming out in 1973. The Joker going full villain, full sadistic clown that we all know and love from the modern age. We have an iconic cover by Neal Adams and a book that's more affordable now than it has been in years. The 4.0 sold for $320 this past week for an increase of 3%. The 6.0, $530 for an increase of 12%. The 6.5 is up 2%. 7.0, 5%. 7.5, 2%. 8.0, 4%. You can get an 8.5 for $12.50. This book was around $1,000 all year long. That's an increase of 15%. We have Joaquin Phoenix Joker featuring Lady Gaga in about a year from now. So there's spec pointing in that direction. But then we have The Batman, which although we're not expecting to see much of the Joker, there was a deleted scene featuring him. So there's another version of the character. And that's not all. You know, James Gunn is going to be utilizing the Joker in one of his multiple narratives over the next few years. This is not just a safe book, but one of the safest characters to invest in.
Moving on to number 5, we've got Star Wars The Clone Wars Issue 1, the first appearance of Ahsoka Tano. Her upcoming series debuts just next month, and we've got a CGC 9.0 that sold for $874, 21% above its 12-month average. The 9.6 is up 2%, and the 9.8 just sold for $2,095, 7% above its average. And although not a record-breaking sale, the CGC 8.0 did sell for $700, which matches its all-time high.
It's been nearly a decade since Rebels premiered, the animation that is renowned and beloved, and I recommend every member take the time to watch it, maybe rewatch it if it's been a while, before you watch the Ahsoka Tano series. These are characters who are all introduced in this animation that are going to be prominent members of the crew that if you don't go into it with these characters in mind, you may not appreciate the show as much. And speaking of characters that are going to be featured in this show, I have a Star Wars Kanan the Last Padawan issue number 1, cameo appearances of Ezra, Sabine. And if you want to get this book, I'm giving it away for free this Wednesday for Whatnot Wednesday, 5 p.m. with Heron Heavens. I'll see you there.
Moving on to number 4 on the list, we've got a repeat offender, Wolverine issue 1, and finally, somebody calling out Hugh Jackman about reprising the role 7 years after he said he was going to let it die.
Oh, the drama, comic fam. You know, director James Mangold, who directed Logan, is also slated to direct multiple DC projects like Swamp Thing. And he's actively doing the marketing circuit with Harrison Ford because he directed the new Indiana Jones movie. This is what he had to say during interviews about a completely different movie as it pertains to Hugh Jackman Wolverine. I can't say that there's a part of me that doesn't wish that we'd let it be, but there will always be another Wolverine. There could be a baby Wolverine and a cartoon Wolverine. As much liquid as they can squeeze out of that rag, they're going to try to. I don't measure my success on a movie like Logan with whether we ended the conversation. I ended my conversation. Hot damn.
The pot calling the kettle black, Harrison Ford reprising his role after 15 years, but I digress. We have high performers in 6 different grade points, starting with the 7.0. It's up 17% from his 12-month average. So was the 9.0 and the 9.2. The 8.0 is up 45%. The 9.4 up 31%. The 9.6 up 9%. And then we have a newsstand 9.6 that sold for $425, 20% above average.
And at the listed number 3, let's welcome Kraven in Amazing Spider-Man 15 from 1964. We knew that this was going to happen, but it took a record-breaking sale to happen this week to put this book this high on the damn list. We have the first mention of Mary Jane in comic books, by the way, and the second appearance of the Chameleon. A $12,000 record was set in March 2023 for a 9.2. Well, we had a copy just sell for $11,500. That is so close to being a record breaker that it's pushed this book up. The 2.5 is selling for $760. That's an increase of 13%. The 3.5 is selling for $879 for an increase of 5%. And the 5.0 is up 5%, selling for $1250. And Jem hit him with the 9.4.
We do have a record-breaking sale here. The all-time high was set back in 2020 when it sold for $13,200. It's up 23% now, selling for $16,200.
For the first time in comic book history, hot damn. What do you think about the lion's blood being the main origin cause of Aaron Taylor Johnson going full Kraven?
I think it's just as ridiculous as radioactive spider blood.
Let us know what you think in the comment section below, because it's been a bit polarizing, but it's comic book movies and there's going to be blood, and he's killing people on all 4s. So I'm definitely going to watch it. At the list of number 2, Ultimate Fallout number 4. Coming out in 2011, first appearance of Miles. You know why this is on the list. The 9.0 is hitting $500. That's an increase of 2%. The 9.2 hits $631 for an increase of 18%. The 9.6 hits $760 for an increase of 4%. And the 9.8 crossed the $2,000 marker at $2,026, where it was selling comfortably below for 12 months for an increase of 2%.
Some strong performers for that Mark Bagley cover A, but we have a huge drop. I want to say one of the biggest drops that we've seen this year, and that's a Jevic variant.
Before we can get to that, we need to take you back to 2017 to really show you how much this book has gone up in value since Miles Morales became one of the biggest spec investments in modern comic collecting. In 2017, the 9.8 Dejevic variant hit $1,396. 2018, we would see heights of $2,050. 2019, heights were reached of $2,900, and then 2020, everything changed. We saw a height of $9,000. Members thought it was aggressive, but it had only begun.
That very next year in 2021, we would see an insane sale of $30,900. Surely that's got to be an anomaly. Nobody would pay that much money for this book until you look at the high for the following year, 2022, where it sold for $40,800. And then even this year, in January, we saw a high sale for $43,200 until this past week.
The market may have changed, but has it adjusted this far? Is this the steal of the year? From a $43,000 height in January, 5 months later, selling for $27,600, a difference of $15,600. Hot damn. Let us know what you think in the comment section below, and hit the subscribe, slap the like button. Stay tuned to the very end of the video, because we're going to get into Q2 numbers. They're in. And Jem, hit him with the number 1 hottest book in the world.
You know what makes me happy to see it? Spider-Man 2099, the first appearance of Miguel O'Hara. That's not a 5-page preview.
During the comic boom, this book was approaching $400. Getting it for $300 to $350 was a good deal. Well, we have members. The last reported sale is $164 for a 9.8. This is a combination of the book being spec'd on for a long time. A crazy census count means there's a flood of available copies. The supply is meeting the demand. And there is spec pointing towards this character because he was such a strong standout character from the recent film. I think this could be a great time to secure this book, but I don't know if it's ever going to reach the $400 heights so many members were banking on for so long.
This is a readily available book. It's a 90s foils comic, so don't go crazy and overspend. I mean, look how affordable it is. The 9.0 sold for $65, and that's 44% above its 12-month average. The 9.2 is 88% up with a sale of just $79. We got the 9.4, that's 39% up, and 8 copies sold above the 12-month average this week. just like the 9.6, which is 45% up, and 5 copies broke that 12-month average.
You can get a 9.6 for $100 right now. The 9.8 height was reached of 225, and we had 18 copies outperform the recent 12-month average for an increase of 33%. So some members are just buying copies for around the $200 marker because they don't want to wait for an auction to end. Some are able to save $40 to $50. Let me know what you're doing in the comment section below, because the price is getting so cheap that even though it's one of the hottest books in the world, it may be time to grab it. And that brings us to the analysis of Q2. We have compiled all the comic books that have made it on the Hot 10, categorized them by how many times they made it, and the numbers are in. Let's take you through the 10 hottest books in the world over the last quarter.
Q2 is the beginning of April to the end of June, so some of these books are books that made it on this week's list. Starting with number 10, ASM issue 41, the first appearance of Rhino.
3 appearances on the Hot 10 and 3 months Hot Damn. Number 9 on the list is Flash 123 in 9th place with 3 appearances as well. I don't think Flash is going to be affecting this list anytime soon. Will it drop off?
Number 8 on the list is Star Wars issue number 1, and although it also had 3 appearances on the Hot 10 over the last 3 months, they ranked higher on the list each week than those other 2 books.
7th place is ASM 78, the first appearance of Hobie Brown, 4 times making it on the Hot 10, and all recent appearances. This just happened. It just earned its slot.
Just like New Mutants 98, the first appearance of Deadpool, which made it on this list and made it on the overall top 10 with 4 appearances.
Daredevil 183, kind of surprised to see this ranking so high. 5th place for the first time Frank Castle fights Daredevil.
Now this one makes sense. Coming in at number 4, we have Batman Adventures 12, the first comic book appearance of Harley Quinn with 5 appearances.
Wolverine number 1, making it 3rd place, securing the slot this week after being on the Hot 10 6 different times.
Number 2 on the list, Star Wars, The Clone Wars issue number 1, the first appearance of Ahsoka Tano with 6 appearances.
And that brings us to the number 1 hottest book of Q2, Star Wars Heir to the Empire issue number 1, Grand Admiral Thrawn's first appearance, the next big bad in the Star Wars universe. Not just making 9 appearances on the Hot 10 over the last quarter, but leading the list at number 1 3 different times and hitting number 2 2 different times. What books are you speccing on? What books are you investing in? We'll be here to cover your purchases when you make them. Hit the like, slap the subscribe, and as always,
geek responsibly and stay minty fresh.
Enough said. Look at this. Obi-Wan's first appearance, first Iron Fist, classic Miles Morales Gwen Kiss, Death of Green Goblin, some Gru. We have Mr. Fix-It, classic black suit Spidey Key. That's a newsie right there. And one of the best Doctor Doom covers of all time. All of these, and you know what, for good measure, Zelda 1 is being given away on my Tuesday stream on Whatnot. Link in the description. It's in a couple days. You don't have to buy anything while you're there. You can just enter to win because we're hooking up the fam every week on the best new place to buy and sell collectibles. Come join me over there. Have a great week. We got other videos you can check out. And happy 4th of July. See you soon.